We need a little live waiting music for folks in the lounge just to get kind of acquainted with our mood.
Some Imperial
Uh-oh.
March music.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm hearing myself in the echo. Yep. There you go. All right. So here we are. We are coming to you live. This is the Red 5 Network on all platforms. Yeah, baby. We're very excited. Let's show our faces here. All right. Welcome,
What's up,
welcome,
everybody?
everybody. What's up? What is up? Welcome, everybody, to the Red 5 Network, the Red 5 Roundup, as we call it. I am Ro from your favorite Star Wars podcast this side of the Dune Sea and the highly dangerous and often cantankerous Pit of Carcoon, the Scare of Scuttlebutt podcast. I am joined by my co host, you know him as Mr. B, Brad, from my brother from another mother, sharer of the zodiac sign, and my plus one on the Scare of Scuttlebutt podcast. Mr. B to the R to the ad. Brad, how's it going, brother?
B Rad, Aaron. Man, I'm doing good. We're gonna have some fun tonight. I know some of the stuff we're gonna talk about. Our newly rebranded Red Five Roundup, and already some excitement on Twitter for this. And we got some great guests coming on with some great topics. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be fantastic. And just a reminder, I know we have been doing, these Friday night chats for a while, mostly on YouTube. But tonight is the first time that we are also simulcasting it on Twitch. If you guys are gamers and love, obviously watching people play games, I guess, but other stuff too on Twitch. You can find us at I think it's twitch.tv/Scare Podcast. Made it simple for you guys. So head on over to Twitch and give us a follow and interact with us. We got a lot of people in the comments already in the chat,
A lot.
and we are ready to roll. So we're going to talk about a couple of things here on tonight's Red 5 wrap up and
Roundup.
roundup. Yeah, sorry. But Brad, what kind of things are we going to talk about?
Well, first off, we got a couple of big announcements to make. We're not going to announce them right now. We don't want everybody to leave right off the bat. But for the Scare of Scuttlebutt, we have a couple of announcements to make. We're going to be discussing season 2 of The Mandalorian. All the announcements, everybody that's going to be on season 2. I don't think there's anybody that's not going to be on season 2 as of this point.
I'm going to be on season
And
two.
That's what I heard. It's a cameo, as it were.
There you go.
Uh, and Yeah, the wrap up of the Clone Wars. Obviously, we can't talk about that enough. And some hubbub on Twitter from one of the Lucasfilm executives. There was a story in the New York Post that we're going to talk about. Beyond that, we got going to take some questions from the chat, as well as we have some questions from Twitter that we're going to tackle as a group. And we're going to do our news segment, Red or Dead, I think we're going to call it. And everybody was assigned to bring some hot takes. We'll see if anybody's got some hot takes. Uh, I came up with one myself. I'm not sure. It was based off a survey that I saw earlier today, and I agreed with it. So we'll see if that's a hot take. And if anybody in the chat has what they think is a hot take, throw it to the group, and we'll let you know. We'll give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down whether we think it actually is a hot take, and we'll let you know if it's red or dead. We'll see how that goes, but it's gonna be fun.
That's going to be a blast. So we got some people in the green room waiting to come on. It's very exciting. So a couple of our Red 5 network members, we are very happy to have some new members since our launch. We launched with 10 and two have joined the club here. We also have a couple of other podcasts that are really excited to be, to be part of it. But whether you're here on the Red 5 Network or not, everybody that is a Star Wars fan is Red 5. So we are very happy to talk to everybody all across the board. It's what makes us family, and it's a lot of fun. So we've got talking about some new members. We've got folks over at Pizza and Parsecs that are one of our newest members, and Dave and Liv. I've been listening to their podcast. Wonderful people, and I cannot be more excited to have them on board on the Red 5 Network. What do you think, Brad?
First of all, they have the best name ever. So you can't beat Pizza and Parsecs.
No,
and
not at
just
all.
tuned into them a couple of days ago, and was it the Galactic podcast they were on? The Galactic podcast.
Yeah.
So much fun, and and they don't just talk about Star Wars. They run the whole geek gamut, as it were, talking about Harry Potter and stuff like that.
They just did the Killing Joke. They were talking about the Killing Joke in Batman. I had to bring out my my novel. Bought that last year. Really great story. And, so a lot of fun. So let's bring them on. Pizza and Parsecs, Dave and Liv. And before I can see Liv dancing in the green room, so let's bring her out so she can dance for the.
I can't help it. I dance all the time.
Well, what's up, guys? What's happening? Pizza
Hey,
and
y'all.
Parsecs.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate you having us on, and thank you for having us on the Red 5 family. We're very happy and excited to be here.
Very much so.
Well, we're excited to expand our Red 5 family, but we're also always excited to make new connections within this Star Wars family, whether you're part of the network or not. We are always amazed at the reception that we get when we reach out to folks. It's one of the things that makes podcasting so fun. It's one of the reasons that we, spearheaded the Red 5 initiative, as I like to call it. But man, we're just having fun, and we're glad you're with us here to join in the festivities.
Thrilled to be here.
And basically, not to let in on any trade secrets, but we totally wanted to grab you up before somebody else did, because we knew it would not take long before somebody else did, and we couldn't have that. So we are so happy to have you guys on board.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you
We're
so
really
much.
stoked.
We're so stoked to be here, and we're glad that you kept us on even after you found out that we like pineapple pizza.
Yeah, I found out that
real-
you guys don't today.
Yeah.
You just found out, Dave? Come on, man.
One of the things that I always bring up, and this will be a good segue. The Scarifs podcast has always been called Switzerland, because we're very neutral and we're okay with everybody's opinion. Pineapple on a pizza, that's pretty Switzerland. So you guys are okay in our book. That's fine.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that survey is still out there somewhere. I haven't checked up on it lately, but the last time I checked, I think it was like literally 50-50 on that. So you can just get a large pizza and half pineapple, half everything else that belongs on pizza.
And that's fine. I mean, we got a lot of people in the chat saying pineapple pizza rules. Jeff, another member of our Red 5 network over at the Blue Milk Cafe. So pretty awesome, man. Yeah.
I mean, we just had pineapple on our pizza tonight, so
We
no
did.
shame.
Very fitting. Very fitting. That is awesome. So let's bring in someone else, another member of, and I would be proud to say, because I am from Chicago, another one of our Chicago pods, Aaron from WSTR Galactic Public Access. He is joining us tonight as well. Aaron, how's it going, brother?
Oh my God, I'm on the show in front of all these people.
In front
It's
of
going
all
great.
these
Thanks for
people,
having me.
yeah. No problem. Thanks for showing up, and thanks for your support on the network as well, and your work with WSTR. I love you guys. I am so blessed that I found you guys here in Chicago, and hanging out with you guys at C2E2 was a freaking blast. So
It really was.
yeah, that was
Just
really
don't tell
cool.
them I was dressed up as Picard.
No,
Oh my
no,
God,
I
that
think you
slipped out.
just did. But yes, definitely a lot of fun. So what's going on over at WSTR at the WSTR Media Center?
Well, we always got a few irons in the fire, as it were. We've got some stuff on our Patreon, some exclusive content that we're cooking up. We've also got coming up Thursday is the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the release date. So we're going to be cooking up something special for that coming up this week. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we're just doing our thing. The funny thing is we've been a remote podcast for quite a while. We got started like 3+ years ago. And when this whole pandemic hit and everybody's in quarantine and trying to figure out Zoom, it's like, well, we've been at this for years. We already know how it's done.
Right.
So yeah, for us, it's been one of the few constant things in life at this point. It's kind of strange, but kind of cool at the same time.
That's funny. Yeah, I know. It's everybody like all of a sudden like Zoom was like a big thing. I'm like, what's the big deal? We've been doing this for a while.
Yeah,
Those damn influencers.
I know. Ruining it for everyone.
Doing it for everybody.
Anybody here not an introvert? I mean,
That's one of us.
Somebody, we'll find
Me?
somebody.
Extrovert over here.
So are you holding up all right with the pandemic and the quarantine and all that?
No, not at all. I miss socializing a lot.
So that's why you turned to pineapple on pizza? Got it.
I've always loved pineapple pizza.
It's been a slippery slope, guys. It's been a slippery
Oh
slope.
no.
Throw me under the bus.
I like pineapple too.
Yeah.
She's a bad influence.
Wow.
Married
You're
me.
gonna be in the doghouse tonight.
Oh, you guys are about to do the big deed, right?
Yeah, in September.
September.
Awesome.
Hey.
September what?
25th.
Oh, 25th. Brad, I was hoping for like maybe a September 3rd or September 4th
Yeah, I was third.
birthday wedding.
It's not too late. Y'all can switch up.
Actually, we can't because
Brad
Dragon
and I share a birthday, and it would be really great for us as September birthday boys if you guys can have your wedding on our birthday. That would be so perfect.
I mean, we totally would move it if it wasn't for Dragon Con being that same weekend. And we kind of have to make sure that it doesn't coincide with Dragon Con.
In all seriousness, that was a huge consideration when picking out a wedding day. Does it
For
conflict
real?
with any cons or anything like that?
That's cool. And we've got Andrew and Marisha in the green room from Coruscant Radio Underground. They are very heavy participants in Dragon Con, and we'll bring them on in a second. But we're always talking about making connections, and we love talking to folks. And this is just one aspect of why we love doing it. But I want to bring on David Triano over at Followers of the Force, another really great podcaster. And speaking of influencers, Mr. David Triana has been doing this for quite a while, and again, great supporter of the Scarif podcast. And I'm sure he's eager to join us here. Mr. David, how's it going, brother?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Excellent. Followers of the Force, I love that. And I discovered your podcast a long time ago in a galaxy not so far away, but
Yep.
I'm really glad that I found you guys. And it's been a blast. How's it going?
It's going good, man. And we've obviously, you said that you've been following the podcast for a while, and myself, I've been following the Scarif podcast for a while, and it's really cool to build this community with you guys. It's been a real treat getting to know all these fellow podcasters and stuff. So once again, thank you for having me on for another live stream. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, definitely. So, just a reminder, everybody, we are on the Red 5 Network YouTube for the, and remind me, Brad, Red 5 Roundup.
The Red 5 Roundup.
Yes, and on Twitch. Matt Vader, will bring him on in a second, too. He says that the show looks really good on Twitch. This is the first time we are broadcasting on Twitch. So that's really exciting.
Hey, and Liv, you got to leave soon, right?
Yeah, I do. I don't currently live with Dave, so I have to get back to my dog and take care of my dog at home.
Excellent.
Real life problem. So you got anything for pizza and parsecs that you wanted to put out before you had to get out of here?
Yeah, we have we published our merchandise recently, and as I stickers.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I need one of those. Definitely gotta get one of those.
They're so cool. I put them in my guitar case because I had to. And we have 2 new designs that we're hoping to release on Sunday.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I need that on my guitar case.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So, I'm wearing a particular shirt that is also part of our Red 5 network, and they are not really exclusively Star Wars, but you guys know them as the Salty Nerd Podcast, and this month they are doing a special Star Wars month, so they're talking about all the Star Wars movies, the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels, and some of the spin-offs. So it is a really great listen. But we've got Matt Vader 74 from the Salty Nerd Podcast. I'm going to bring him in, and we'll chat with him and see what is going on with the Salty Nerd and the rest of the team. They have a really great team out there. Mr. Matt Vader 74, how's it going, brother?
Good, man. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Good. Yeah, we can hear you really good.
I got everything set up different now. So
yeah, every time I see you, you got like something different. You got your green screen. You just got your lights today. I chased you out of the house to get that USB adapter and everything.
Everybody's supposed to be staying home, right? There was like 10,000 people at Walmart. It was ridiculous. Target too. It was insane. And I go there, and I didn't find anything that I wanted. I finally went to Fry's, and they just got walls of the stuff, and I should have just gone there first. Yeah. But I didn't want to drive that far. But yeah, it's all good.
We have one Fry's. We have one Fry's Electronics in the suburbs in Chicago, and I think they just shut it down. I think they closed it down. But
yeah, you go in there.
There was beautiful. Oh my God! Yeah, it's like a playground. Definitely. Yep. So so you guys have been doing some really great episodes over at the Salty Nerd Podcast.
I'm so tired of Star Wars right now. Oh my God.
Star Wars burnout. Yeah, you guys usually don't do straight Star Wars. So
usually we do like a theme a week, like 80s movies or action movies, or we do like a 2-hour deep dive on a genre or something. And but it's May, so that's Star Wars month. And we're all huge Star Wars nerds, so that's it, man. May is Star Wars. There was no debating it. So
no debating it, yeah. And that last show you guys did, you guys talked about Clone Wars at the top, and then capped it off with Rogue One. I mean, yeah. I was shedding a tear, bro. I was shedding a tear.
Well, I'm glad you liked it because I didn't talk very much. That was that was all
coincidence.
What's that?
Coincidence?
No, not at all. I wasn't really feeling too hot. I just kind of shut up and threw in some cuss words and some saltiness once in a while. And
excellent.
Alex stared at me and gave me the finger and said, "Knock it off." And it's fine. So it's all good.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. So I am going to, since we have our maximum capacity here as far as guests, I'm going to pop off, and Brad, I'm going to kind of listen to your cues and then put some stuff up on the screen if you need to. And I'll be doing the producing from behind the curtain, and you guys have some fun. I think I'm going to bring in Charles from the Conversations podcast, and we'll swap some people out. I know we've got Coruscant Radio Underground waiting as well, so hold on to your hats, folks, because I'm going away.
Don't leave us. No.
Well, now we can have some real fun.
There we go.
He's gone. Before we get going, Charles, there he is. Welcome, Charles.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hey, Charles.
Thanks
Hey.
for joining us.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the Red 5 Roundup. Also want to thank a few other folks that we have in the chat. We got Trevor Beast there, as usual. Cam's here. And we got the one and only Luke Skywalker has joined us as well.
Awesome.
Oh my
Master
god.
Master Luke is here. So I'd say that's a hell of a roundup. But Charles, how's it going?
Fantastic. I'd like to announce the demise of our show, and we're going to be promoting our wives as the new hosts of Conversations. Based on the positive reception we got today on today's episode, it's a wonderful thing to see, and somewhat humbling as well at the same time.
The Palpatine.
It was bound to happen eventually.
Yeah, well, it's just a matter of time, really. So the real talent is discovered on our show. This is fascinating. Yes, but we are having a great time. But no, we enjoyed doing that. The banter fodder was our first episode today, and it was a wonderful chance to speak to our wives and give them the floor, and as they were inspiration for our show, and they had some great takes. The love for Jar Jar and the absolute hate for Yoda. It was quite fascinating. So it was a great one.
Silence.
Awesome. We're gonna get into some news. We're gonna get into some news. First up is the Mandalorian season 2. There's been all kinds of announcements every day or every hour. I think we've had some announcements about season 2, who's going to be on it, and what characters are going to be returning to it. I think somebody wanted Jar Jar dead earlier in the chat, so we'll see if that happens. We do know Jar Jar is still alive if you did read Chuck Wendig's Aftermath books. So he's out there.
Oh.
But what do you guys think about the all this Mandalorian season 2 news? Dave and Liv, what do you think?
I was really stoked to see that Timothy the Oliphant was coming on board for it. It just seems like a very smart piece of casting, given his work on like Justified and Deadwood. Like he's a born gunslinger. Let's face it. So I was really fired up for that. And then, of course, Katie Sackhoff. I mean, let's be real. That's perfect. That's just perfect.
As long as there's
Aaron, what do you think?
Yoda, I'm good.
Go ahead, Liv.
As long as there's Baby Yoda, I don't care who joins. To be honest, I love Baby Yoda.
You think we're going to see some more character development for Baby Yoda?
I hope so. I would like that. Yeah.
You got any theories as of right now for Baby Yoda?
He is a boss that is undiscovered and has the best force powers in the world. That is my theory.
Hot take.
That's our first hot take of the night, I guess. That's cool. Aaron, what do you think?
Part of it's going to be a hot take. I'll save that for later. But for now, casting has never really been news for me. Like, it would make sense to be excited about casting if it's a person whose work that you like before going into something. Then it's like, oh, I might like them in this. So, for example, when I heard Bill Burr was going to be in Mando season 1, I was excited because I really like Bill Burr, and he did a pretty good job. There's just so many different ingredients when it comes to like mixing together to make like a TV show or a movie or anything like that. So just being cast in something doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot when, you know, the working relationship between an actor and director, for example, could be really good or it could be really bad. And so, you know, you might end up getting a subpar performance out of a pretty good actor or vice versa. So it's really difficult to tell this early on. what all that means. But I will say they are getting a lot of really good talent in place, and if they are handled by competent directors and the kind of singular creative vision is there, it sounds pretty good. I have nothing to complain about. I'm just cautiously optimistic because as much as I like season 1, I'm still skeptical of Disney. I'm still skeptical of any kind of creative control that they have. And we just don't have anything to look at yet. So we'll have to see. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, and I guess there's the question: can there be too many announcements? Would you guys rather it have been a surprise? Some of these characters, these actors coming on. David, what do you think? Would you rather have been surprised, or are you excited to know ahead of time who's going to be coming on the show?
I guess I could see kind of both ways. In a way, I'm glad they said, here's, the cast for season 2. Of course, if these rumors are actually true, my big thing is that I don't want all these new characters that are coming in, whether or not we've seen them before, I just don't want them to detract from the central story. Because then if you've got too many characters in here, the moment Ahsoka shows up, or the moment that Boba Fett or Rex show up, I don't want the episode to end and then the first thing people say is, all right, what's Ahsoka up to? Rather than what's Din Djarin going to do next in the next episode. I want the plot to remain on the central characters that made season 1 so great. And I don't think they're going to, really showcase, these classic characters too much. I think they're probably setting them up for something else. Like, I think if Rex and Ahsoka are going to be here, I think they're getting prepped for their show. Rex could show up in her show with, Bo-Katan and Sabine, if she's going to be in it. That makes sense. It's a Mandalorian story. So I could see those characters popping up, no problem. But yeah, I just don't want them to detract from the central story. That's my biggest thing. And if they don't do that, then I'm going to look back at this and say, like, okay, this was fantastic news that all these characters were in the show.
Yeah, from a certain point of view, podcast is with us, and they say that we're beyond the point of too many announcements for casting. I'm kind of tend to agree with that. Matt, what do you think?
I can't really add a whole lot more to what these guys have already said. I just think they need to be careful that it doesn't turn into the Ahsoka Tano show or the Rex show or the Boba Fett show. When they show up, I want to know what's going on with Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian. But if they use these characters sparingly and in small snippets and use them to set up their own thing, like you were saying, then that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And Katie Sackhoff, anytime Katie Sackhoff's in the show, I'm going to watch it. So that's fine with me.
Yeah. Charles, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Rex? Is it going to be Boba?
I'm going Rex.
There's your money.
Too close to my heart on that one. But I would think that the casting that I've seen so far, aside from Ahsoka and Rex or Boba, the stars like Oliphant who came out today, or some of the other actors, I'm hoping that the approach is similar to Ming-Na Wen's character, where you have a huge talent from Hollywood. Now, that was more on the down low because it was The Mandalorian season 1, right? So no one was paying attention to it. So I think there's a lot more eyes on this show now. And whether or not it's a COVID-19 keep the fan base stoked maneuvers that they're doing right now to release all these castings, but like David said, if they're true, maybe they have a sort of a more minor role and just plays along within a character within the show. Doesn't necessarily take away from Din Djarin or the child or the main arc of the story, and just adds fantastic acting and chops to the rest of the story. That's what I'm hoping for.
What's going on?
Hey, we got the folks from Coruscant Radio Underground. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Good. If you hear small, loud voices in the background, they're mine. They're washing dishes. Yeah.
It's all good on Friday night. Welcome to the Red 5 Roundup.
Yeah, we're glad to be here.
You jumped in just at the right time, talking about the Mandalorian season 2.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you guys think about all the announcements and all the casting that they got going on?
I mean, I'm excited about most of what I'm hearing. You know, granted, all of it's pretty firmly rumor right now. I mean, not a lot getting confirmed, and you have to wonder sometimes with them already in development on season 3 if some things are getting confused and some of it's actually season 3 stuff. And I do find it funny that they're already announcing this much when they were so big on keeping so many secrets last time around. But I also find that it's a really weird time for things to be leaking out. I mean, they've been done filming this for a while now. So, you know, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with some of those rumors, but I think that they're still holding some things back. I mean, I don't think we're going to get everything, but honestly, if they're all true, I would have preferred to have been surprised by these characters showing up.
For sure.
I don't mind getting actor names. I'm always excited,
right.
But I don't want to know who they are.
Right. Well, we were talking about this earlier today. We were recording our show, and it's like the show didn't need hype. Like,
No.
like it's already there. Like, we're all ready for season 2. We didn't need to know any of these characters were going to show up to get excited about it.
People are going to watch it with Ahsoka or without it, clearly.
Dave and Liv, are you hoping to see Rex or Boba?
I'm hoping for Rex personally.
I love you. I love you.
Yeah.
We're going to disappoint you then, Charles.
That's okay.
I'm on Team Boba.
I think Boba's too big to be. I think Boba would overshadow, and I'd like y'all have already said, like, take away from the main storyline and take the focus away and be like, oh, that was the episode with Boba, as opposed to, oh, that was the episode where these deeper plot points happen and these themes showed up. It just becomes like the episode with Boba.
I mean, rumor has it, though, he's kind of already shown up in the first Mandalorian season. So, and it wasn't Boba's episode. It was, oh, is that Boba? Is that him? That's my opinion.
And I think that's kind of what I'm talking about, though. Like, that's what a lot of people seem to remember about Gunslinger, and not like, as opposed to something like, you know, Ming-Na Wen in there and the entire plot point with, you know, chasing her down. They remember the boots at the end.
I mean, I remember that episode.
Because I was there.
No, just because I remember the episode.
Yes.
Anyway.
But yeah.
I hope Boba's in it.
Yeah. Master Skywalker has a good point. You know, Lucasfilm, they are masters of deception. I think they're probably not telling us 98% of what's going to go down on season 2. So we don't know how big these characters are going to be. But considering the appearance of a certain weapon in that last episode, I think there's a good chance where it is going to be Rex and Ahsoka and possibly Sabine, since that ties that all together. I think it goes that way. But David, have you checked out the documentary series, The Gallery, on Disney Plus?
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it's been some of the best behind-the-scenes stuff that we've seen. Aside from the more feature-length documentaries that we've gotten with the DVD releases, still the second episode's by far my favorite. I mean, that monologue by Dave Filoni at the end of the episode is, I've been listening to that thing all, for the past few days. But yeah, it's been really cool to see sort of what the future of Lucasfilm could look like with so many different voices involved in a story, but that story having a set plan to it. And I think that's what we've seen with this docuseries. You've got these different directors, but nothing seems so out of sorts in season 1. Every episode has a point to it. Every episode showcases the strengths of that particular director. And I think that's been the strongest point of the show, really. I've been really, really happy with what they've been telling us about the show and plans for it going forward. It's been really cool.
I really love the part when Filoni's sitting there doing his thing, and the other directors and Favreau are just sitting there, just zeroed in on every word that he has.
Looking it up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that because they know he's the Star Wars guy, you know, more so than anybody there. So it's really interesting to see how they react to that.
Yeah, totally looked like Yoda and the younglings.
It did.
When Dave was talking, and they're all just soaking it up. That was amazing.
Yes.
Charles, what are your thoughts on it?
I think that the documentaries actually bring up a great point of how, you know, we have this gift of these documentaries this late, or, you know, between seasons, let's say. And they had the forethought of knowing, what kind of quality show that they had. And they had an organized discussion and on-set filming and like sort of live action filming. Then you also had a round table similar to Solo: A Star Wars Story, sort of after production wrap-up talk. And that actually gives me a lot of hope that with John and Dave actually at the helm, they've got a huge amount of positive creative control over this entire endeavor, and that they've got a good way of looking at things, what people want. And I'm hoping that that kind of organization and forethought is also then leading them down into a proper structure of season 2, and even forgiving all of these announcements of stars, that they've got some sort of cat in the bag that they're going to be releasing that's going to stun us once again. And that really does give me a lot of hope for a really successful season 2.
Yeah, it almost seems to me they were putting as much work into these documentaries as they were the series the entire time. And I'm for one completely, you know, it's basically a holocron for the thing, if you ask me.
Right.
Aaron, what are your thoughts on the docuseries?
Oh man, it's strange in the best way, because I've actually been involved with film shoots, and so on like a crew level, not like a, you know, managerial, like directorial level. So a lot of the times, like, I watch things anyway, kind of from a production mindset, being like, oh, I wonder how they did this, I wonder how that's probably how they did that, blah blah blah. But seeing like kind of the top level decision making that they have to do, it's really insightful, and I really do appreciate it. It's really interesting. I wish they didn't like stagger out this release, because I'd love to just like binge watch the whole thing from top to bottom. But you know, gotta keep those subscriptions active. But yeah, it's been really cool, because I do have a lot of respect for Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in the kind of creative vision that they have and the working relationship that they have with each other, and B, the I guess clout, for lack of a better term, that they have, so that they can keep Disney off their backs long enough to actually do what they want to do. It's really refreshing that, you know, we have something produced for Star Wars that's not, it doesn't feel like it was created in a lab, or like created by like a board of directors overseeing every little thing, you know? It's nice to have just a unified vision for something.
You know, one of the questions that was brought up on our podcast a few weeks ago is, what if Disney went away from feature movies altogether and just had these projects, Disney Plus series and stuff like that? Do you think this gives any credibility to that idea, or do you think we're still going to get, you know, we still need movies, or can they survive on these other types of side projects? Anybody?
Oh man.
Are we going to ever get to go to the movie theater again?
That remains to be seen.
That's God. I'm coming up with tons of hot takes now. I've got like 4 of them now. So I'll save that for later. But I will say, I think the most important thing that The Mandalorian is as a proof of concept that Star Wars can work outside of the Skywalker soap opera, and it can work in like a different set of genres in a different formats that we might be used to. Because honestly speaking, Star Wars doesn't have that much flexibility as far as like what will work with it. But Mandalorian is just kind of like breaking the boundaries of that and being like, yeah, look at it. It can be a Western. It could be a samurai film. You know, it could be a TV series. And so I think that's the most important part about it.
I don't ever want to.
Go ahead.
I don't ever want Star Wars to not be something in a theater, though. At least sometimes. Not every year, but every couple of years, I want to go see it big. Sorry.
I lost an eye.
Sorry. You're okay.
At least there's no horns to drink out of this time. But
Yeah.
Are you thinking you still want to see trilogies or standalone movies?
I like what they were talking about. There was some talk a little while back about doing series of movies.
Yeah.
Where if it takes 2 movies to tell a story, you do it in 2. If it takes 4, you do it in 4. It doesn't have to be, we're going to do 3 movies for the sake of doing 3 movies. And if it's a one-off, then it's a one-off. So I'm a lot more comfortable with that way of storytelling, where you don't feel like you've got to, if you've really got 2.5 movies worth of story, you don't have to stretch it into 3. And if you've got something bigger than 3 movies, you don't have to cram it into 3.
Yeah. Matt, you surely wouldn't have any strong opinions or any salty type opinions on this. You think Disney should stick to these projects, or you think they can actually pull off a decent trilogy?
As long as it's written and planned out as a trilogy from the get-go, it should be fine.
There he goes again. There he goes again with the planning and the thinking things through. I don't know, man.
That's ridiculous.
That's pretty salty.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, but no, I like the one-off. Rogue One was a great example. I love that movie. It's a really good movie, and it proved that the people in charge of Disney Lucas right now can make good movies. So what they did with the trilogy is just beyond me. I don't know why they muffed that up so bad, but it is what it is. I know there's people that like those movies, but I'm never going to be one, but that's okay. So
that's okay. Let your feelings out, man.
I'm trying to be nice on your show, bro. So, PG show, right?
And we really appreciate it. He's like a big teddy bear, man. But I'm listening to you guys talk about the director's talk on the Disney show, and Aaron, I'm with Aaron as far as watching this stuff and appreciating how the behind the scenes works. Obviously, being in the field, it's fascinating to me, and obviously I'm like a broken record. It's one of the things that really drew me to Star Wars, just the creativity, the work that all these technicians did to create this universe out of nothing, literally. And to hear these directors talk about the decisions they made, the work that they've done, and even if you guys remember the Mandalorian panel here at Star Wars Celebration Chicago, how they were talking about how they didn't have certain camera gear, so they just went out to the garage and started cutting up metal and creating this stuff. It's like, who does that? I love that.
Remember when filmmaking was a craft?
Yeah, now it's, unfortunately, filmmaking is a business. If you want crafty movies, you got to go to, down on Southport to the Music Box Theater. But it's, we all can enjoy a really well-made film. And I'm just hoping that, Disney continues to do that. Obviously, they've been a powerhouse in filmmaking for a really long time. I just hope they don't lose their way.
I'd like them to find their way back. So.
Sure. Yeah.
So I see a guy, Phoenix, in the chat. He's saying that Lucasfilm should take the MCU approach to Star Wars movies. And I'm not quite sure if I really agree with that, because I don't like to have this. I don't want 20 movies of the same formula. Star Wars to me has always been trilogies. I'm just kind of old school that way. So, but I just wanted to address that in the chat there real quick. So
yeah, for sure. And we talked, I think we've talked about that with you guys, Marisha and Andrew, about the difference between Star Wars and Marvel. Obviously there is a big difference. They're big tentpole movies, obviously, but there's just a certain something. And I think, one of the things that turned me off about the sequel trilogy is the humor that's a little Marvelized. Stuff that happened in The Last Jedi was I think too Marvel-ish for me anyways. And there's certain things that I think Star Wars should really stick to. Besides that, obviously the message of hope that we all fell in love with when we were kids. I also don't believe in Star Wars fatigue because
No.
we're getting Star Wars, weekly through these Disney Plus series. We're getting more than one show, so I don't really think Star Wars fatigue is a thing. As long as the stories are crafted well, written well, acted well, give me all the Star Wars, baby, because I love it.
Yeah, I don't need Lucasfilm to try to exactly mimic Marvel. I don't need it done using the Marvel formula, but I would say that there are certainly things that Marvel has done extremely well that are worth taking a look at. And the big thing would be telling interconnected stories. How do you make these things fit across this enormous number of movies and all still exist within the same world with the same, everything's still moving the same direction. You can take any piece of it and it all works together, with Iron Man 3 maybe being the exception. And, so I do think there are things with Marvel in a lot of ways is using the George Lucas method with the way they're creating these things. There's one guy at the top that's kind of pushing everything in a direction with people under him that are helping realize his vision. I mean, that's the way George Lucas made the originals. That's the magic of The Mandalorian. That's what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have recreated with The Mandalorian, is the George Lucas way of making Star Wars. And I think that while I'm saying, yes, there are things that they could learn from Marvel, they could learn the same things from the original trilogy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and if they can make Ant-Man interesting, then I think they can make anybody interesting.
Sure.
They pulled that off.
So I'm going to bring Dave back in from Pizza and Parsecs and cycle myself out. But there's an interesting comment in the chat and something I think that we were going to talk about, Brad. Talking about Story Group's Matt Martin's comment about it all being fake. So we might as well just delete our accounts and then just all go home.
Yep. It's all
you can kick me out if we're going to talk about the Story Group, bro. It's okay.
It's all right. We're just gonna
let's bring Charles. Let's bring Charles in and Dave from Pizza and Parsecs. I'm gonna jump out. It's like me throwing a grenade and then jumping away. So.
Yeah, I think we've all been a little salty about this particular topic.
Yep. We're just ready to pull Matt's mic at any time. Oh yeah, there we go.
There you go.
All right. Okay. All right. So we got Charles back. All right. So took Matt off. Good. All right. So we won't lose too many followers on this one. All right. So anybody not hear Matt's words? Anyway,
I didn't hear
so okay. This actually made the New York Post yesterday, and it's kind of funny it made the New York Post. But Matt Martin, he's one of the guys who works at Lucasfilm. He's on Twitter. He's very active on Twitter, and you guys can find out. I won't give his his handle away so people dogpile him. But they were having a conversation about canon, and Ro and I have had many conversations about canon. What does it mean? Does it mean anything? That sort of thing. So in this conversation. This is a conversation that happened May 9th on Twitter. He says in a tweet, so to summarize, there is a reason that we need to internally know what is and isn't canon so we can keep our line of official storytelling as aligned as possible. But that doesn't mean fans can't individually pick and choose what they want to accept as true. So that sounds like a great tweet. And I agree with that. That's what we've said many times. I talk about the Darth Plagueis book all the time. I talk about the Old Republic books all the time. If those are still canon to you, so be it. But just like any good Lucasfilm executive, he had to add on another tweet and totally ruin the whole thing. He adds on, and this is the entirety of the tweet. It's all fake anyway, so you can choose to accept whatever you want as part of the story.
Wow.
Very postmodern take on it.
Yeah. And Matt's not here to get first dibs on this. I can't imagine what he would say. But Dave, what do you think about that?
I mean, to a certain extent, like I can see why people are upset about it. Like, you know, it might feel like it's sort of trivializing what you're really passionate about, I guess. But also on the other hand, I mean, he's not entirely wrong, but it's maybe that wasn't the right point to say. Like that wasn't the right thing to follow up with. That's kind of where I'm at on it. I'm just now hearing about it, so I'm trying to get some time to digest it.
Yeah. Charles, what are your thoughts?
Well, the choice of "it's all fake anyways" may prove that he's a story group, and people are probably not a writer or an editor, in the sense that the words may not have been properly chosen. Maybe he's talking about the entire universe of Star Wars and Lucas, and it's just all fantasy and for us to enjoy. But I tend to agree with you that it's about interpretation. It's about what you feel the story is about. And, hey, look, I was never a fan of the expanded universe or the side stories. I didn't actually never even consume them. But if you can loop that into your interpretation of the story and the galaxy far, far away, and have your projections and your interpretations, hey, all the more power to you. I can give you an example. Actually, it alludes to Aaron's point about my wife. She loved The Mandalorian, and she refuses to watch the gallery series because she doesn't want to know the behind the scenes aspect of it. She just wants to be told a story and sort of like jump into it. So you're going to have those casual fans who are not going to need the 15 layers deep of what everyone present here tonight needs to have to appreciate the story. She's just going to she just wants to see the Mandalorian again and the child or Baby Yoda. That's all she wants, and it's as simple as that. And everything else can go to where.
Yeah, and there's been many fans. Some of you may have seen that. I don't know if we made the mistake of posting that video from Sam Witwer about the Last Jedi, but it's certainly made for some good discussion at times. Mostly good. We only had to block a few people, but I think some of the issue over the last, 3 or 4 years has not just been the movies, but the interactions that fans have had with people in the story group, whether it be Matt or Pablo Hidalgo or even some of the writers on social media. So from a broader perspective, what do you guys think about these storytellers, guys like Matt, Pablo, the writers? Chuck Wendig comes to mind with his interactions with the fans. Do they speak for Disney or do they speak for Star Wars itself? Should they, be able to speak their mind? That sort of thing. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I think for sure they should be able to speak their mind. But, echoing what you were just saying about, interacting with people on Twitter all the time, I think at some point, Matt Martin gets asked so many questions a lot of the time about the same things in Star Wars. And at some point, it's got to take its toll on you. And you just got to say, look, guys, I mean, at this point, I think he just doesn't care anymore. Not saying he doesn't care about being in the story group and doing his job, but he doesn't care about that discussion anymore. And it's just the point of saying, guys, it's a make-believe universe that we all love, but take a second and just calm down over it. It's and it sucks to hear sometimes because I would really like to find out all things I can in regards to Star Wars canon, but at some point you see people like Pablo just going off of Twitter, Kelly Marie Tran after The Last Jedi just being bombarded with tweets. She deletes her whole presence online. It's a job, but it takes its toll on you. So I don't fault Matt for what he said. And I think that it's something that probably a lot of other people are feeling. And if you don't like parts of Star Wars, that's completely fine. Have your own headcanon. I have my own headcanon. It doesn't detract how I, consume the stories. Everybody's different. And I think once people realize that, everything will slowly start coming back to normal.
Yeah, I don't like how some people even try to make headcanon a bad word, a 4-letter word, and I don't know how you do that. That's the point of fiction, is to develop headcanon.
Exactly.
Aaron, what are your thoughts on it?
It's fascinating to me because as a religious person going to a religious school, studying communications and the way we are shaped by media and how we shape media, it's kind of strange. If you take a step back and you look at Star Wars as a whole, it has a lot of the trappings of religion, insofar as the kind of devotedness to it, the wanting to keep it pure, the kind of veneration for certain like heroes or saints of the franchise that we have. And so when you come to canon, that's historically, that's a biblical term, like these books are in, these books are out. And so this whole kind of debate about canon is like, okay, we have these official things that we're going to, declare to be holy, but then like these unofficial things that we're going to cast aside as kind of heresy or sacrilege. And at this point, we have this kind of perspective that you could kind of form your own canon and decide what you want to believe or not. And I suppose that's fair. You could do whatever you want with that. It's so I don't really have a firm opinion one way or the other as far as like what should be canon, what shouldn't be. I guess if I had any sort of opinion, it would be like all the stupid things shouldn't be canon and all like the really good things should. But of course, that's going to vary person to person. So, I mean, it's hard to look at what's been officially released and not think, hey, this could have been better. They could have done things differently. What if this character was written differently? And we're so lucky that in such an environment where we have such a wide access to media and the kind of instant communication and discussion that we have on fan forums and Reddit and whatever thing will pop up that hasn't been thought of yet. We could kind of come together as a community aside from just Disney on high declaring, whatever will be. And instead say, you know what, we don't like that. We think you got it wrong there. This is probably more true to the character, probably more true to the story. And at the same time, from the other end of the spectrum, if I were Dave Filoni or if I were Jon Favreau and I had this particular kind of creative vision for the story that I wanted to tell, or this character that I wanted to create and tell their story or plug into an existing story, and then the fan base as a whole just says, no, we don't like that, we're all gonna agree that it's gonna be this different thing, I'd be pretty crestfallen. I'd be pretty heartbroken. I'd think I had this particular vision and it doesn't work without this particular character or this particular element, and if that's changed, that has a lot of. So I kind of see it from both sides, and I guess if you're going to kind of declare something to be like your headcanon or decide that the mainstream canon just doesn't cut it, you're free to do so. It's just sad that we kind of lose that singular vision from a director or from a writer that just wants a story to tell, and we feel like we need to fix it with all this kind of patchwork stuff behind the scenes, unofficially, blah blah, etc. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And I think Luke brings up a good point in the chat. I've seen many of Matt's interactions. I'm one of the more critical people of Disney and the story group at Lucasfilm. But all of Matt's interactions that I've seen on Twitter have been fairly positive, and I agree with Luke. I think I'm willing to give benefit of the doubt on this one. I think it was just a poor choice of words. I mean, we said I posted almost the exact same thing, just different words, in response to that Last Jedi thread that we had, where I just said, it's a movie, right? So I mean, I pretty much said the same thing, just different words. I mean, we're getting so heated and all kinds of name calling, but in the end, it is a movie. And I'm glad you brought up the religious aspect of it. I saw a funny interaction on Twitter where somebody thought the word canon was made up by fanboys in the last, whatever couple years to justify their nerdy headcanon. And they were subsequently schooled on the fact of the root of the word canon. And also, it's a fun fact that George, he's on record for saying he never wanted Star Wars to become a religion. It talks about the Force, and mostly Buddhist type teachings and Eastern teachings, but he never wanted it to become a religion, and I think it has. And there's definitely different, denominations of Star Wars fans. But I think we give him a pass on this one. But we got some questions that we got from Twitter. We'll sprinkle these throughout. The Padawan of Christ on Twitter. Do you think we could ever get an official release of the Revenge of the Sith supercut? So I guess an extended cut of the Revenge of the Sith.
The fabled 4-hour version.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I mean, we did get McClunky on Disney Plus for A New Hope. I don't know if you guys have seen that. So if we can get McClunky, I think we can get Revenge of the Sith.
There's always hope, right?
But
Man, you
I
got
just watched that the other day too.
The show.
What was that, Matt?
I said he's got to warn me when he puts me back on live.
Yeah.
Tell him what I could have been doing.
Yeah, I had to check our follower count. We didn't lose any because we took you out for that last segment.
No, I'm hideous.
So we're still doing good. You guys think Disney Plus will ever feature a extended cut of Revenge of the Sith?
I didn't know such a thing even existed. So,
I mean,
I'm down. I like that movie. It's good. Well, I like the second half of the movie, so sure. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the? It's about 3 hours and 45 minutes. Somebody cut in the Siege of Mandalore arc into Revenge of the Sith, and I saw it. I sort of fast forwarded through the movie and saw where.
I will say this: I will never watch Episode 3 the same.
Yeah.
After that last 4 episodes of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It's just makes it so much better. It really does.
And that file, I think it's available on Twitter for you to download it. The person who edited the entire thing together, really fantastic. I mean, I would watch that over the theatrical cut any day. Seeing what Ahsoka was doing, seeing how Maul factored into everything, and seeing the pivotal moments of the Siege of Mandalore intercut with the pivotal moments of Sith, it's a whole different experience. And I don't think they'll ever do it, but it's something that is nice to have. And it's canon, basically. It's just all put together.
That's a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
I will second that recommendation. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought that
what people don't. I was just gonna say what people don't realize is if they made a director's cut, an hour of it would be just the many different ways that Shakti died in the deleted scene. So it would just be an hour of Shakti dying at the beginning.
Different angles.
So
from what I understand, like that 4-hour supercut was pretty true to like what you actually see and experience when you read the book. And like the first half of the book is basically all on that initial rescue Palpatine bit. So I feel like that would kind of change how the flow of the movie in a way, I guess. I don't think we'll ever see that. Would I like to see it? Sure, I would, but I don't think we will.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. That is of all the novelizations, I think that's up there as one of the best. A whole lot of extra detail on Obi-Wan's and Anakin's relationship. So, if you want that extra information, yeah, just read that book. It's canon, so that's what counts. Hey, Roseback.
There he is. He's got his Mando hat on. So
wardrobe change.
Yeah. What are you guys talking about? Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Spider-Man.
We have another question from Spencer Fannin. Since we have all seen the Filoni clip about Duel of the Fates, going back to what we were just talking about, when you first saw the Phantom Menace and the duel at the end, what did you believe it meant? And has that opinion changed in the years since?
It meant some badass lightsabering, and it hasn't changed a bit.
Yeah,
I agree.
Testify.
That's one of the things that I love about Star Wars, especially obviously since it's been around for a really long time. The more you look at it, the more you can kind of pick it apart and really take some deep meanings of it. And it doesn't always have to be just about the surface level stuff. Again, these films have been around for a really long time, and we're adding to it. We're adding to the lore. We're adding to the meaning behind it. And it's very personal. I think when you watch, Aaron, you said it a while ago. You sometimes, and for me, it's definitely the case. I'll watch a movie first to kind of look at it and absorb it initially, and then I start watching it with like my camera guy's eye, or I'll start watching it for the special effects. How do they do this? How do they do that? But from time to time, I think maybe in subsequent viewings, you look at these films for deeper meanings, and you start to question yourself as far as, why do I like these movies? And you do really find that nugget that represents something that is deep within your soul. I don't want to get like really deep here tonight, but it is.
Please do.
It's just something that connects with you. I mean, everybody, you guys in the Salty Nerd podcast, we were talking about how, everybody's got their own Star Wars. You've got,
I'm a guy who, I watch these movies and I keep it to a very surface level. I like the special effects. I like the story. I like the cool saber fights and everything. And listening to guys like Brad and guys like Matt Kadish, who I do the show with, and Alex even go deep down into these movies. It's why I don't talk a whole lot on the podcast, because Kadish is just sitting there schooling us for 45 minutes on every single thing that we watch, and it's pretty wild, and I learn a lot. And I don't know any other movie out there, any other series that we're still talking about on a philosophical level 40 years later after they've come out. There's always something new with these movies, and it's just
absolutely.
So when Filoni was doing his thing on the Disney Plus show, I was just like, holy crap, man, I never even had thought about it really in that way. And he schooled the whole country, schooled the whole world on what
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
It's the sign of good art when it's bottomless. You could just keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, and you never get to the bottom of it. There's always something new.
Just like the salad bar at Golden Nugget.
I wouldn't touch it. It's nasty.
It's not new, Ro. It's not new.
It's not new, no. It may be bottomless, but you don't want to go down there.
Yeah.
But deep stuff aside, that 10-second of lightsaber fighting between Obi-Wan and Maul, I think, is still the best lightsaber sequence in all the movies. Sure. I just watched that thing on loop like over and over again.
When the back in the day when the VHS version came out, I stuck that VHS and input it into my editing software, and I was able to pieced together that fight without going back to Jar Jar and his fight, and just did like one complete like scene without it having to go back and forth. So yeah, I love that.
Oh, VCRs. Fast forward.
You know, a lot of people don't even know what a VCR is anymore, Ro. So
I know, yeah. Everybody, you guys in the chat were like, VCR?
what's that?
What is that?
A tape thing? I don't
Put
get
it
it.
on your 8-track.
Is that a new
What's a VHS?
Vector program?
These whiskers are very gray, and I remember things. So
Right there for you.
Cam had a question for us as well that he posted earlier on Twitter. I don't know how early did Cam show up this time to the show, bro?
Let's see. It was scheduled for 9 o'clock. I think he got in the chat at around 1.
Yeah, okay.
sounds about right.
While he was, he typed the following question while he was here. Would you like to have a Palpatine? Would you like to have a Palpatine backstory novel, pre-Sith Lord, obviously? And since the answer is yes, that's pretty presumptuous, Cam. What author would you like to write it and why? And he actually used the hashtags as you're supposed to. Red 5 family, and we are Red 5. So thank you, Cam. So I only talk about Plagueis every single episode to get in there. So I'm good personally with the Darth Plagueis book, but would you guys actually like to see a new Darth Sidious book or Palpatine pre-Sith? He says backstory. Aaron, what do you think?
Oh man. Generally, I feel most backstories are unnecessary unless it actually like leads to something or it reveals new aspects about a character that change the context for what we know about them to begin with. And I'm kind of put on the spot, so I'm trying to think of a good example of this. But
Solo?
Dooku Jedi Lost?
I will say Solo is generally a good example, and the way that they would have done it badly would have been to have in Revenge of the Sith, like on the ship at the end, they have like a little kid Han Solo running around, and
that was a thing for a while. They thought that was going to be a thing, yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of looks up at Obi-Wan like, "What's your name?" Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like that's a horrible example. Like we don't need to know, like. How we don't need to know that doesn't reveal anything about his character. It's just fan service at that point. So Solo, I would argue we didn't really need to know like what the Kessel Run was. We didn't really need to know how he got the Millennium Falcon, except that it gives a bit more history between him and Lando, which is like, okay, cool, fair enough. So in that respect, it was a decent backstory. Yeah, that's my general attitude. Like, we'll see what we get. If it's good, then it'll be worth talking about. If not, then we'll forget it.
Yeah.
Well, I know
Coruscant Radio. What do you guys think?
Oh, I know E.K. Johnson is lobbying to write this exact book. We last week. She was on the podcast last week, and we asked her, what would you, if you could write it for any character in Star Wars, and that was her one she wanted to write was Palpatine as a young adult. So we get to see how he was always evil, basically, I think was kind of her pitch. Yeah. So, there definitely would be I like backstories. I like the prequels. I'm a big prequel fan, and that's really all the prequels are, right? Is they're just backstory for all these characters that we already knew. So I'm always down. As long as it's, again, like anything else, as long as it's done well, it's well written, it's, and it fits, it works. I always like to know more about where people came from.
Yeah. I don't know if EK has it in her. You got to go to she's too nice. You got to go to you got to go to a really dark place to channel your inner Palpatine, I think. But I mean, she did a hell of a job with the Ahsoka book. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Plagueis novel, so it's kind of hard for me to try to imagine like another Plagueis novel come out in canon when that one was already so good. So it really kind of set a high bar for me. But I mean, I think, if it actually does add color to it, and by color, I mean, I don't really mean a backstory, but adds more color to Plagueis as a character. If it adds that color, that will give us more insight into him and his actions and his behaviors, then I'm for it. But if it's just to, just because, then but I don't know. We'll see, I guess, like Aaron said.
David, are there any other backstory ideas you would like to see? Any characters you'd like to see a backstory of besides Palpatine?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can't think of any off I can't think of any off the top of my head. But I do want to point out in the chat, Adam from A Certain Point of View mentioned that if Paul Kemp could, write that Palpatine novel like he did for Lords of the Sith, I'd be really interested in that because he wrote the character so well in that book. But I'm a big Kylo Ren, Ben Solo fan, so I mean, I would really like to know what exactly started to lead him down that path. I know we got a glimpse of it in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, but you can dive so much deeper in a full-length novel into that character that I think that'd be really cool to see. And I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell right now. I feel like we've gotten a pretty good idea of a lot of these characters. I'm ready for new stuff, man. I'm ready for the High Republic. I'm ready for new stories. I think, people like Palpatine, it's been done already. The one story that I think still needs to be told is, one Luke and Ben between episodes 6 and 7, and a couple other things during that time period, but either tell stories in the future or go way back. I think the stories that we know now, they're pretty much, well mined right now. So that's how I feel about it.
I agree. Yeah. I see in the chat that A Certain Point of View wants a Jar Jar backstory. That's cool as long as Chuck Wendig writes it.
Never enough. So. I mean, that may have been the highlight of the Aftermath series. I'm just throwing that out there. The circus clown Jar Jar. But I would lobby right now for a Charles Soule novel on Ben / Kylo Ren. I think Charles Soule is one of the most gifted writers that currently works for Star Wars, writes Star Wars, and he's actually the one that did the Kylo series. So I would definitely read a Charles Soule backstory on Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
But the Dooku book. I think there's a lot of people that read that lately. That was such a good audio drama, and now you can get that on in hardback as well. So definitely check that out. So what else you guys want to talk about? We're all here Friday night, Red 5 Roundup. We're going to get to some hot takes in a little bit in our new Red or Dead segment. But what else you guys want to yap about?
So I'm back.
Don't all talk.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Brad, I know we just recently dropped an episode on the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. We were talking about the rule of two, and a very cool topic, the rule of two. So hopefully you guys caught that, and some of our other shows that were coming up. I just recorded an episode with the Beyond the Blast Door guys, Josh and Andy over at Holochronicles podcast, and we're talking about collecting. Obviously, we're all surrounded by some sexy Star Wars items from time to time when we do our podcast, and a lot of us have been collecting for a long time. So I hope you guys tune in for that. some of our fellow podcasters have been doing some great and fantastic work. We got folks like Andrea and Lauren, who just finished talking to Kevin Kiner, which is really cool. And David, you got something coming up as well, don't you?
Yep. We actually spoke to Kevin and his two sons, Dean and Sean, yesterday, and that episode's going to come out on May 27th. Really fun conversation, a lot of stuff that we talked about. So really excited for that one to come out.
Excellent. That's Return of the Jedi Day.
Yeah.
Awesome. Andrew, Marisha, what do you guys have in the works?
I mean, we've got we recorded one today and we're working on it. It was just kind of back to the usual of we finally talked about the last two episodes of the Clone Wars and talked a lot of Mandalorian stuff, but I believe we got something coming up pretty quickly with you guys.
Oh, that's right. We're going back to our roots here, joining the Coruscant Radio Underground for a mega crossover episode. We're going to be talking about. Should we say it, Brad? To tell folks what we're going to be talking about. Legacy of.
They're good with it. Yeah. Legacy of Maul.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Darth Maul's turned into one of the more important characters in
Yeah.
the Star Wars universe. He, I would never use the term throwaway character, but he had a very small part to play, in episode 1. And a lot of people didn't like when he came back or didn't know what to think when he came back. But now the impact that he's had, the visions that he had about the future and what Palpatine was going to do to the universe, he's definitely worth revisiting. And so definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun heading back to the Coruscant Radio Underground with you guys, back to our roots. You guys were our first crossover episode, and probably back in the day. Yeah, we talked about the legacy of Leia Organa. It was a wonderful, wonderful episode. But so a lot of things are cooking. You guys over at Salty Nerd Podcast are always working. It seems like Alex is always doing something fun. Today is Friday. You guys usually record on what, Wednesday or Tuesday?
We recorded. It's usually Wednesday or Thursday, depending on what's going on. Yesterday we did 2.5 hours on the original trilogy. That's going to drop probably here in a couple days whenever they get done editing it. Next week, to end Star Wars month, we're doing the sequels, and I'm debating whether I'm going to show up or not. I don't know. It could be
it could be
really
disastrous.
Maybe we'll have David come on and temper us all down a little bit.
That would be interesting.
Then I think Salty's going to make us watch dinosaur movies for June, so that'll be fun.
Oh yeah, that is great. And Aaron, you guys over at WSTR are always having fun.
Yeah, we are. We go live on Monday evening, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are talking about card collecting, rare
nice.
Star Wars cards. We've got a guest on, Greg McLaughlin from the Rebel Base Card Podcast, which I never knew was a thing until Todd found him. So we'll be talking with him about Star Wars card collecting, and we're probably going to bump set Spike a little thing for the 40th anniversary of Empire, and we got something special cooking up for that. Can't quite reveal it now, but that's what we're up to.
Nice.
Awesome.
And speaking of revelations, Brad, we've got some things cooking on our end too for the Scare of Scuttlebutt podcast. Isn't that correct?
Just a couple small little announcements to make. No, I couldn't be happier. Can I go ahead and reveal them both? You good with that?
Go for it. You do two, and I'll do. Two, and I'll do one.
Okay. Can I go first?
Yeah. Let me. Are you guys good? CRU? You guys want to pop out for a second?
Yeah, my kids are being super loud, so I need to yell at them for a second.
You just go.
Right.
All right, let's bring Pizza and Parsecs back in to fill that gap. And hello.
What does this remind me of the Hollywood Squares? Do everybody remember what that show was?
Yeah. I've got
Whoa, hey,
I've got gray in here. I know what that is. So yeah, announcements. Brad, you can do 2 and I'll do 1, and hold on to your hats. But we're pretty excited about the stuff that we're working on.
Oh yeah. So we couldn't be happier. The first one we already announced on Twitter, but for those who didn't see it, on May 25th, which we consider the true Star Wars Day, since Ro, you're not wearing the right shirt. You know, today you should have been wearing the right shirt. But anyway, May 25th, we'll be interviewing the one, the only Claudia Gray, and we are super stoked about that. I have read every single one of her books for Star Wars, Master and Apprentice, Leia, Lost Stars, Bloodline, and man, we've been wanting to get her on the show for a long time to talk about that stuff. You know, I'd like to ask her about a lost. Somebody asked on Twitter about a Lost Stars sequel. I think she owes us one of those. I think the story group owes us one of those. But we will be interviewing Claudia Gray on May 25th, and super stoked about that one. And to follow that up, something we haven't announced and we're announcing right now is on at the beginning of June 2nd, we will be interviewing Cavan Scott. So we were discussing a little bit ago Dooku Jedi Lost, and you know, his work on Star Wars Adventures. He's been a real good positive influence on the Star Wars community, the writing community. So we have a couple big weeks coming up with Claudia Gray and Cavan Scott coming on the show. Ro and I can't wait to interview both of them. So, and if anybody has any questions they would like to ask one of those authors, send them to us. Also, they have agreed to do it with video. So hopefully, if everything works out, we'll be able to stream those as well. But we'll provide details on that. That's Ro's neck of the woods, so I'm not going to say too much on that. But we are thinking that we're going to do video on both, so we're very excited about both of those. So Claudia Gray and Cavan Scott coming up on the Scarab Scuttlebutt. Ro, what do you got?
That's really cool.
So as you guys know, we've last year we did an event called ScarifCon 2019. We just got a couple of podcasts together here in Chicago at Alley Cat Comics here in the Andersonville neighborhood in Chicago, and we had a blast. Although it was a little cold, and for those of you who saw our live stream, yeah, I see Aaron cracking up in the backstage. It was freezing, but we really had a good time. We talked about Star Wars for about 2 hours outside the patio. We had a nice live audience back when you could have a live audience, but it was a lot of fun. We've been toying with the idea of having a ScarifCon 2020 either in Vegas or back here in Chicago. But COVID kind of squashed that idea, so everything is in flux. But I think we are going to be sponsoring a Chicago leg of the Dominic Pace signing tour here in Chicago on July 19th, which is a Sunday. We're going to be sponsoring his trip to Chicago and setting him up again at Alley Cat Comics in July. And come hell or high water, we're gonna stand 6 feet apart from everybody and have a good time out in Andersonville here in town. So that is going to be a really great. And Dominic is a really stand-up guy. He has offered to donate 15% of whatever he might bring with him to sell to fans and sign and things like that to the store. And it'll be a really, really great time.
Are there any official action figures or merch with his character?
Not official, no. A lot of artists have contributed to doing a lot of custom figures. There's a Lego custom Gecko. There is a Black Series kind of mocked up. There's a lot of stuff that artists just kind of send to him and show him.
I mean, knowing how Lucasfilm has always worked, right? there's going to be something someday.
Oh yeah,
So-
definitely.
Probably
I mean,
12 different pop variants that you can get in some European convention
Zuvio.
exclusive or something.
yeah, we got
Yeah,
Zuvio
is
Constable
supposed to be on the shelf.
Zuvio. We there's no way we're not getting a gecko. So Dominic Pace, we're in your corner, brother.
Yep.
And all of us really looking forward. I've got a spot right here next to my Boba Fett prototype and Luke Skywalker Black Series that is going to look real handsome.
Hey, Brad, you can relax about your red chrome Darth Vader too. I don't want it anymore. I found one and I sent a link to my daughter and I wrote Father's Day. Make it happen. So
If you love me.
It's funny that you bring that up because that allows me for some more shameless self-promotion, which from time to time I'm in favor of. But since you brought it up, I didn't bring it up. You brought it up. I just want to remind everybody, or Matt wanted me to remind everybody, that we are still doing the Scarif 2001. Actually, we have two things going right now. Right now, we're trying to build our community on Twitter. As everybody knows, we're on Twitter at Scarif Podcast for the Scarif Scuttlebutt. And we're trying to build our community. And I'm trying to do that in two ways. One is the first one that Matt brought up is the Scarif 2001. And there's a thread on my personal account that you can find. Anybody that's not following me at Jedi Mind Tricks 79 on Twitter, there's a pinned thread there. Check that out, Scarif 2001. I'm trying to give away my own stuff. Posted some pictures of my Star Wars Sanctuary. It's not nearly as nice as Rose there, but I got a few things that are pretty good. But check that out. I did put a deadline on there of May 19th, and we're getting really, really close to May 19th. So I'm not sure if I'm going to make that one. But I'm really, if I don't give a certain R2-D2 away, I may be in serious trouble.
She's gonna come to your house,
please,
bro.
Yeah, for my well-being, please help get us up to 2,000 so I can give away an R2-D2. But the other thing, the more important one that we're really excited about and we're trying to build some more support for is Krennic Cares. So look up hashtag Krennic Cares. Really excited about that one. And we're looking to, again, build the community, but at the same time, we want to give back. Especially now, now's a tough time for a lot of people, and there's a lot of good charitable organizations out there that are struggling as well. And we're looking to make a $200 donation to a particular charity. And what we're asking people to do is reply to that thread with your favorite charity or, a charity that means the most to you, and provide a link to that. And we're going to, once we get to 2,000 now, I don't have a deadline on that one. So whenever we reach 2,000 followers, I'm going to go ahead and do that giveaway, or not giveaway, that donation. So please look up the hashtag Krennic Cares and, post a link to your favorite charity. And let's keep that one going, because there's been some really good ones that have been posted so far that would really help a lot of people. So please check that out. So Matt, thank you for bringing that up and allowing me to go off on that tangent.
Sure.
But, and then Road disappears on me without telling me. Just like Matt pops up out of nowhere, Road disappears out of nowhere. So, and there's the hashtag Krennic Cares. So please check that out. Since he's gone and it's my show, let's do some hot takes. Everybody was assigned to bring some hot takes, and we have one from Twitter earlier. I'm not sure of how hot of a hot take it was, but it's pretty funny anyway. And if anybody in the chat has a hot take for Star Wars, we'd like to hear it. We're calling this one hashtag, because I'm hashtagging everything, red or dead. Is it a hot take? Is it not a hot take? We'll vote on it, and we'll see. I think Aaron was making a list of ones that he wanted to bring up. I got one myself. If we have time, I'll bring mine up. But we'll start. We'll get the icebreaker. We had one from Twitter earlier, and I asked him if he was serious. He didn't reply, or at least I didn't see the reply. But this is from Chicago Fan 54. Ora Marco deserves his own spin-off film or show. I asked him if he was serious. I don't know if he ever replied. Ora Marco deserves his own spin-off show. Is that red or dead? Is that a hot take? Thumbs up for hot take or not? Vote.
I don't know. I didn't know we were getting the
So
same.
we all agree then that Ora Marco deserves his own show. He was featured on Robot Chicken in a couple of their skits, so we do have that canon material. If you want to check out old Prune Face. So what do you guys got? Who's got one?
I've got one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a hot take for sure. After the end of the Clone Wars, I am going to say that Ahsoka is the quintessential prototypical Jedi, above and beyond Qui-Gon Jinn. Boom.
Ooh. Oh.
Oh my God.
Now,
All right.
let me explain. Let me explain.
No. First, we're going to vote whether that's a hot take or not, whether that's red or dead. So, thumbs up if you think that's a hot take.
Wasn't she like the only Jedi? So.
Yeah, and thanks for stealing something related to my hot take. I appreciate that. I guess I'll have to think of something else now. But
wow,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead with your justification now.
Justification is that as a huge fan of Qui-Gon Jinn as I am, his backstory, especially with Master and Apprentice, and as from the Phantom Menace, as I've grown to appreciate that movie a lot more since I was younger, I just became, I just started loving Qui-Gon Jinn more and more as a father figure, as a teacher, and all these aspects. Yet here in front of me is Ahsoka, who spent time in the Clone Wars, which I didn't like at first, learned to learn it through the whipping and be at the behest of Pat repeatedly, but that character of Ahsoka has so much more depth as written and in animation and storytelling. I don't think that she gets the credit that character deserves because she's female, and I think that's why she is the quintessential Jedi at this point. I think she should trump Qui-Gon Jinn at this point because of her take of how she ended the Clone Wars, and it's a fantastic balance between the dark and the light of the Jedi, and that's my take.
Well, see, to not to totally go out in left field here, but I think there's actually something that substantiates what you're saying about Ahsoka. That's right there in front of us, and that sometime after Mortis, when the daughter is dead, the Convor, which was attached to the daughter, is now attached to Ahsoka.
Right.
And I do think that that's because of her standing in the light.
And that Convor is extremely important in that. I mean, the Convor throughout, even in Dooku, Jedi Lost, which I'm reading now, is another element within that story, and how powerful that is as a metaphor for accepting of the light. That's a fantastic point.
And I'm glad you guys, you're both talking about Qui-Gon and, the Dooku book and Master and Apprentice. I'm very excited. We just had that show where we talked about Qui-Gon Jinn, and we posed the question, what would have happened if Qui-Gon had trained Anakin instead of Obi-Wan? And I'm lined up to ask both of those authors what they think as to what would have happened if Qui-Gon had trained Anakin instead of Obi-Wan. So I'm really excited to hear their answers on that. So that's good stuff, Charles. Dave, what's your hot take?
Other than pineapple on pizza.
That's an extremely hot take. Take out, of course.
It's not really. I mean, so we're across. We're a geek podcast, so we cover not just Star Wars, we cover other properties as well. So my hot take is also kind of a crossover, and what I started to think about when I was watching Maul develop as a character, and throughout the Clone Wars, is that Maul kind of reminded me a lot of the Joker, a lot in the same type of path that they took, and their same kind of psychosis in a way. And they both have these similar vendettas and parallel storylines. And so my hot take is the parallel between Maul and Joker. That's what I got.
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you a thumbs up on the hot take. I think it is. And I think it that would deserve some discussion. Aaron, I know you had you said you were making a list.
I have 4 hot takes. I don't know if you want all of them.
Get one right now.
All right.
Start with the juiciest.
All right. Boba Fett is a shallow character. Boba Fett sucks. I don't know why people like him so much. He's just a dude in a cool costume, and he serves the purpose of a story in that he hides away Han for a little bit. And yeah, he looks badass. Nobody's debating that, but I just don't understand like the adoration people have for him. And so like people are wanting him to come back for Mando, and it's like, why? And because all right. So there's this character test, right? Made famous by a certain YouTube review where you describe a certain character without saying what they look like, without saying what kind of costume they wore, and without saying what their profession or role in the movie was. And you have to describe to them as if to somebody who's never seen the movie before. All right? It sounds like a pretty simple test, but a surprising number of Star Wars characters fail that. Qui-Gon Jinn would be included in that, and I would say Boba Fett is. So I just they announced Tamora Morrison coming back for Mando season 2, and people are hyped for that he's going to be Boba Fett, and I'm like, do we really want to see Boba Fett again? Like he's a pair of trousers that someone is wearing. That's it. That's my hot take.
You wrong for that.
Not even a thumbs up or down.
Aaron, you got to remember that Boba Fett's got spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle. I mean, come on.
I know. Don't give me any nonsense about there's this novel somewhere that totally fleshes him out and it makes him a completely good. I don't care. Like, show it to me on the screen. There's very little there.
They're setting it up for you, Aaron. You and Lauren at the Galactic Podcast. She's not too in favor of Boba Fett as being such a fan favorite, but one thing's for sure, man, he really looks really cool. But
he does. But how far does that go?
But he does pretty far. So well. He does his job so well in Empire that you almost too well, and so you go, well, he didn't do anything. Well, he did.
Yeah, right.
He outsmarted the group that the Empire couldn't catch, and pretty seamlessly. I mean, he is the character that moves that entire story along in Empire.
You go, Andrew.
He also.
But I
That's
would
fair.
I want him to come
but then
back.
he died like a punk.
He is not a fully fleshed out character, and I do want him to come back because I think the Fett's, not just his, but Jango's story should be told, because we get some throwaway lines in the Clone Wars about, well, I don't know where he got that armor, but he's no Mandalorian. I want to know who that character is.
That's true, but I want to make a clear distinction between what the character is and what we want him to be, kind of like an empty vessel that we put all our ideas in. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of potential there, but there's nothing really there. And so people say, like, I know for a long time they were rumoring like a Boba Fett like sideshow or independent Boba Fett movie. And it's like, do you really have that much to go on to make a movie? And so you look at like something like The Mandalorian, and it's like in one episode, they give a lot more character to The Mandalorian than they ever did Boba Fett.
That's absolutely true.
Oh, and here's Lauren. Lauren's in the chat. Big agree on Boba Fett. All right.
Oh no,
Boba Fett overrated. Totally overrated.
But you know what? Again, we're talking about headcanon. One of the things that I really thought they were going to do, especially since Marvel has done such a great job in interweaving these stories and these movies together, I think that what I thought was going to happen was we were going to get a Solo movie, and there was going to be some sort of scene where Boba Fett is there, and somehow either indirectly or directly Solo has some interaction with this bounty hunter, and then we were going to get a Boba Fett movie that, you know, it plays out, but somewhere in there we see the same scene but from Boba Fett's perspective. And that would cause the Solo and the Boba Fett story to kind of intermix at some point between those two movies, and I think that would have been totally cool to see that relationship kind of be introduced in both movies, and hopefully, you know, see what the fans think about that going forward after that. I think that would have been awesome.
I'm not sure I agree. I respect your opinion, but for me, it's like
blocked.
Do we really need to have like this interweave story between Han Solo and Boba Fett? Because to me, it's like Boba Fett's just a dude that they paid to go and track him down.
Yeah,
and he's perfect in that role.
Yeah, we've established that Han Solo does have some sort of history with his bounty hunter. So I would like to see something fleshed out a little more.
And I don't personally care that Boba Fett is a shallow character. Like, not every character needs to be three-dimensional and fully fleshed out. Like, it's perfectly fine to have, you know, stereotyped characters or kind of one-dimensional characters. They serve a purpose in the story. What I'm frustrated with is people trying to make him more than he actually is.
But hasn't that always been one of the beautiful things about Star Wars, is that we find these characters in the background and we love them and we want to know more about them. I mean, going back to the original, when you walked into that cantina for the first time and you see all these characters and you latch onto them, and that's the reason there were action figures for all these characters, because even though they were in the background and really irrelevant, we fell in love with those characters anyway.
Yeah, that's a particular weird quirk about the Star Wars fandom. It's like we see a dude running around in the background with an ice cream maker, and we're like, oh, we like him. And so we give him like this elaborate backstory, and actually he was like carrying something super valuable in there. And so it's a bit silly, but it's heartwarming at the same time. So I don't mind that much.
But I would say that one of the things that led to the longevity of what Star Wars is the fact that we even love the characters that don't matter.
That's true. It's a symptom of a love for the universe. Yeah. So for that reason, I don't mind that much.
Yeah, and
I just have this particular like thorn in my side with Boba Fett.
I get it.
I don't.
Hey, what if
that's my hot take?
What if Rex kills Boba in season 2?
Yes. Please.
Tamora kills Tamora.
Do it. That would be amazing.
Everybody would riot.
Rex defends the Mandalorian by killing Boba, the Maker.
That would be that'd be personally satisfying for me, because we could just get done away with Boba. Like, you know, he comes back against all odds and he just gets cut down anyway. But it'd also be secretly satisfying for me, because it would be in some way, I feel it would be a statement from Favreau or Filoni being like, hey, this character that you're all so hyped about, nah.
Yeah, but see, Favreau originally wrote The Mandalorian to be Boba Fett. And Filoni had to say, well, hold on a minute, you can't do that.
This Boba Fett actually
interesting.
So I don't see Favreau going that particular route with Boba Fett. I think he's going to find an excuse to bring Boba Fett in eventually, because I think he's one of those fanboys who thinks Boba Fett's the coolest.
He's right.
That's interesting.
He's right.
We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But that's the exciting part, obviously, Aaron, you're right to a certain degree. He hasn't been fleshed out, but this is our opportunity to really fall in love with this character. Whether, you don't like him now, but I find it exciting that we're going to learn more about who this guy is and what he does. I mean, everybody loves The Mandalorian, so there's obviously some similarities there. Besides the cool helmet, besides the cool, weaponry. So, and Filoni, Filoni and Favreau, I mean, they've demonstrated that they can really bring, a story arc, to fruition when it comes to fleshing out these characters. So if it is them that, if they turn out to do this, I'm very excited to see what they have to offer.
Yeah, and maybe they can blow my mind. By God, I hope it happens. It's but if they could introduce Boa and use that as a way to explore like a certain idea or like flesh out what we know as the Mandalorian already, like that's an interesting angle. Like maybe Boba Fett as kind of like a faker Mandalorian, then Mando might be like, our order is in shambles. Like this is my religion and I hold myself to these ideals. But in this kind of galaxy, like, what's the point? If this guy, he could just show up with the same armor. He's doing the same things that I'm doing, just capturing dudes and getting paid for it. So really, what's the difference? That's an interesting angle. That's a story. That's a character.
Sure.
But we just don't have that yet with Boba Fett. So if it is Boba Fett that's coming back, who knows? Maybe they can change my mind. I'm just highly skeptical.
Yeah.
I just want Lauren to think Boba Fett is the baddest of the bad. It'll happen, Lauren.
It is your destiny.
It is your destiny.
Oh man.
So
David,
yeah.
David, you bring one?
I'm gonna pull one that I was talking about on another podcast. So I think that Kanan Jarrus is a better Jedi Master than, in terms of teaching a Padawan, than Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is that a hot take?
I'm going to give that one a thumbs up myself.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
Can you elaborate a bit more about where you're coming from with that?
So, I mean, you got these two guys, both take on a Padawan that they really had no intention of taking on in the beginning. Both have signs of turning. We had that whole plot line with Ezra after Twilight of the Apprentice when he's looking down at that Sith holocron and then he looks up and you kind of got a little bit of red in the eyes. And we all thought that season 3 was going to be like his downfall, and it ultimately doesn't happen. But it was interesting to see how Kanan deals with Ezra's want to save everybody, going as far as, to help Maul and even agree with certain things that he's saying, but still, find it in him not to give into that fear. I'm not saying Obi-Wan did, but Obi-Wan was just he was such a by-the-book Jedi that I think his strictness really did a disservice to Anakin. Whereas Kanan going through Order 66 and, as a kid and living the life that he lived before meeting Hera, I think it really allowed him to see sort of that gray area of the galaxy and to understand things that Ezra was going through, going as far as to kind of, in his death, still, with the help of Ahsoka, keep him from making that mistake of saving the one that he couldn't save in Kanan in the World Between Worlds. But yeah, I think that when it's all said and done, Kanan had to learn on the fly, and I think even then, I think he did a pretty good job, knowing only what he knew at the time, and coming back from the life that he lived. So I think he shows a sort of resilience to this kid that when they meet, they're at odds, and then become sort of part of this big family. And then Obi-Wan, it's the relationship in the movies. It's not great. In the Clone Wars, we get it fleshed out, and we see that brother relationship that was always talked about. But in Attack of the Clones, he's putting Anakin down almost at every turn. And in the beginning of Sith, it's a fine friendship, and then in the middle, they go off on their separate ways. And even then, as a Force ghost, he still thinks Anakin doesn't have any good in him. He just wants him dead. So look, if you don't want to do this, then the Emperor's already won. You were our last hope. So I think he's a very narrow-minded Jedi, where Kanan, I think, was very worldly in a sense, in his own way.
Yeah, I'd give that a thumbs up.
Oh, fantastic. 100% thumbs up.
Well done.
What I would like to say is when you first said that comparing Kanan to Obi-Wan as a mentor and as a teacher, my first thought, I actually jumped to Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker to Anakin. And the reason I say that is because I think in my own mind, I had a foregone conclusion that Anakin was already on that path to become Vader, and that was sort of an undeterred path, and that the sort of the time space between where Kanan had Ezra and had the influence over him was more akin to Luke versus Anakin, which is when you started describing, it's like, oh my God, you're talking about Anakin. Oh my God, that is fantastic. Absolutely love it.
I guess the real question is, when you're talking the fantasy storytelling trope of fate and destiny, could Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon have done anything to stop what happened to Anakin?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what Dave said about Duel of the Fates. That duel decided Anakin's fate, and I think if Qui-Gon hadn't died, it's hard to say. I think he probably would have understood a lot more the attachment side of things than maybe Obi-Wan. Even though he had his feelings with Satine, I think he was still trying to not give into that attachment, where I think Qui-Gon would have been a lot more understanding, knowing what it was like, or knowing what that would do to Anakin to pull him away from his mother, even trying to take his mother with them initially, and then ultimately, I just still think he could have.
Yeah, and I largely agree with your point about Kanan, in that he wasn't hindered by the failings of the Jedi of his time like Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, there's some folks that are in the chat saying how different their story would have been if he was given a different Padawan, or I think Brad and I talked about that too during our Qui-Gon episode regarding teaching Anakin. Would it have been different if Qui-Gon survived, or Obi-Wan taught him in a different way? So yeah, that's a good one. So I'm going to bring Brad back. I think we can probably wrap things up. Did anybody not get a hot take? I think we're all good with hot takes. I know we are hot taked out, huh?
I have more if you want some. But I've already said my piece.
Yeah, we know what you think.
You're one of those people.
One of those. So let me. I'm going to bring Brad back, but you guys have been fantastic. Everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us here on the Red 5 Roundup. Let's bring Brad back. Hold on a second. I need tentacle hands here. Charles, I'm going to swap you out for Mr. Brad, and hands up, and I will we'll talk to you in a bit. But Brad, come on back, and there he is. We've been talking for about 2 hours straight on regarding our wonderful franchise that we know and love. But it's been fantastic. This has been the Red 5 Roundup. And Brad, do you have any final thoughts for our folks in the chat or on the panel?
Well, I just want to say I think this is the most fun that we've had. I've been on a couple of these now. I think this is the most fun that we've had talking about the news with these hot takes. This has been fun. This is what it's all about. And really, this is what the Red 5 Network is all about. You know, we all have different podcasts. We all have different voices, different flavors, different takes on the Star Wars saga. But you know, the common thread throughout all that is just the love for the saga. And this is what it's all about. You know, going to a coffee shop, you know, getting a coffee and talking about the things that we love. And it's been 2 hours, 2 hours exactly now. And it doesn't even seem like it. It seems like it's been 5 minutes since we started talking. So, you know, it's a good conversation, and we could go on for another 2 hours, I think. So I appreciate everybody coming on, and I appreciate you know, all the guests that we've had in the chat. We kind of did this on a whim again, and it's been amazing. So I want to thank everybody for coming on.
Definitely. Again, this is Ro and Brad from the Scarif Podcast. I'm going to go around real fast and bring some folks back in just to tell our people in the chat where to find you. Let's start with Andrew and Marisha. You guys look fancy up there with your Captain America shield. Tell us where folks can find you guys.
Okay. You can find us on Twitter at crew_podcast, at CRU_podcast. And you can find our podcast, Coruscant Radio Underground, pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts.
It's true.
Excellent. Excellent. Aaron, WSTR, Galactic Public Access. You guys are, again, like I said, fellow Chicago podcasters, and I'm glad we found you guys. Tell us where you can be found.
Yeah, we can be found everywhere on the socials at WSTR Media. We are also, you can find basically our entire podcast, our back catalog, all relevant links, podcast.wstrmedia.com.
Excellent. Fun stuff that's happening over there. Join them. You guys do your stuff on Monday nights, correct?
Correct. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We broadcast on YouTube. We put out links before we go live. So yeah, it's just if you're within spitting distance of us, you can't miss it.
I like to hang out in the chat and chime in every once in a while. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for being part of our show.
No problem. David Triana, Followers of the Force, thank you so much again for joining us and being part of this discussion. Where can folks find you?
Yeah, you guys can find us on Twitter at FOTF Podcast. And you can find our podcast on iTunes and Spreaker and YouTube. We release episodes every Monday and special episodes on Wednesday. So yeah, come check us out.
Excellent. Again, longtime friend of each other's pod. And David, I really appreciate your friendship and your camaraderie. I like that word.
As do I, Ro.
Awesome. David, have a good night. And one of our newest members of the Red 5 Network, Pizza and Parsecs. Too bad Liv had to take off, but Dave is here, and that's exactly what we need. Pizza and Parsecs, where can folks find you guys?
So you can find us on the socials at Pizza and Parsecs. And in terms of listening, we're on all the major podcasting platforms, and we even did Jella Solid, and we created a link tree, and you can find that at bit.ly/linkspnp, where we've collected all the links for you.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Because we're all lazy.
Facts.
Yeah, facts. That is awesome. Thank you very much. Please extend our thanks to Liv, and we will see you out there on the interwebs doing what you do and enjoying it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate you, and we're so grateful to be part of the Red 5 family.
The pleasure is all ours. Thank you so much for being team players. There is no I in team. There is, although, eam. I don't know what that means. But thank you guys very much.
Deep.
That's deep. And Let's hit it over to Charles over at Conversations, half of Conversations podcast. I know your cohort is out there saving lives, isn't he?
Yes, he's on shift tonight, doing the real work, and I'm here talking Star Wars. So it sucks to be him. So yes, you can find us on Twitter at Swations, and you can find us on Facebook as well at conversations.com. At Conversations, sorry. We have our website at conversations.com, and via email at conversations@gmail.com as well. So we're all over there, and the podcast is available at all the major stops. And thank you very much for having us come in tonight. It was fantastic. Great discussion. Like Brad said, it was very varied and a lot of fun, and 2 hours flew by. I'm ready for another 2 hours. So, but there you go.
Definitely. Yeah. So, I've posted the web link every so often in the chat tonight, red5network.com. And I just want to say a big thanks to Charles. He's basically the guy that helped me put that together. He did most of the heavy lifting, and thank you very much for assisting on that. We still got work to do because it seems like people are knocking the door down to get to be part of the Red 5 network. We've got a couple of emails that just out of the blue, man, people are trying to get in. So we'll see what happens. I know there has been talk about amending that launch video to include some of the new members, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, Red 5 network is growing still, and a big thank you to you, Charles, for helping out on that.
Well, my pleasure, and it's a fantastic group, and any way I and Pat can help, we're more than happy to do it.
Excellent. May the force be with you, Charles, and we'll see you out there on the interwebs.
Have a great night, everybody.
And last but not least, of course, it is my buddy Matt Vader 74
I love
from
how
the
you-
Salty Nerd Podcast.
I love how you kick everybody off as soon as we get done promoting our stuff.
Yeah, get out of here.
Like, get out of here. You're done.
So you guys have a great team over there at the Salty Nerd
Yeah.
Podcast between you and Alex and Jude and the other Matt.
The other Matt.
And,
That's what I used to call him when I first met him. The other Matt.
The other Matt. Hey,
Other
you
Matt.
other me.
Yeah, but he's way more influential than I am. So.
So you guys have just started up your own website as well. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell us where we can find you.
Well, the website got launched a couple of weeks ago, and that is at saltynerd.com. And we have all kinds of different things in there, with links to all the different stuff, to our updates. And I guess there's a forum there. I didn't even know that. I'm looking at it right now, but I haven't even seen that yet. Patreon, of course. There's a store there. Get some T-shirts, stickers, mugs, that kind of stuff. And I know Alex is planning on getting all kinds of fun stuff put up on there. And so saltynerd.com, and our YouTube channel, saltynerdvideo.com, takes you straight to that. So make sure you go over there and subscribe and thumbs up all the things. And me personally, it's right there, Matt Vader 74. I'm working on growing a small little Twitch channel, and you can find me at that same place. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram sometimes as well. And I'm going to be trying to do some stuff on YouTube pretty soon too. So
excellent.
That's
Now that you got your lights and
it's like it's like, oh god, it's like really bright. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you, Matt, for joining us tonight. And again, like I said, we'll see you out there on the interwebs. Let's go check out the private chat and see what everybody's been talking about while we've been talking Star Wars.
Growing this stuff up, it's awesome.
Awesome.
All right, kick him off. He said,
all right, brother.
Stuff. Go and get.
Brad, my friend, it's been a blast, man. This 2 hours, like you said, has been flown by, and it's been a lot of fun, especially connecting with all these wonderful, wonderful people. I get kind of choked up and emotional talking about all the friendships that we've made just because we like talking about Star Wars on the internet. Coruscant Radio Underground, Followers of the Force, new friends like Dave and Liv. It's been just a whirlwind of an emotional roller coaster that really has humbled me. Even people in the chat that are regulars in our Friday night discussions. It's been fantastic, and it's only been our first year. I can't imagine doing this with any other group of people. It's been really great.
Yeah, yeah, it reminds me of when we started the the Scarif Scuttlebutt, and the conversations that we had on Twitter. But it's like that. It's like those fresh conversations, like multiplied times 100. With all these interactions that we've had through our own account and through the Red 5 network. So that's what it's all about, man. These, everybody's sharing. I love that. We use the hashtag Red 5 Family, and that's so fitting. Just people posting pictures of their kids, playing with their Star Wars toys and Legos and dressing up and sharing their theories and so we were obviously a small operation for a while as we built up. So we had good conversations, but not to this extent. So this it's exciting for sure.
Yeah, I told you, when my wife and I watch TV, I mean, she gets ticked off that my phone is going off every like 3 seconds because somebody's saying something or retweeting or asking questions or just discussion. It's been a fantastic ride.
Yeah. Twitter's giving us maxing out on notifications on the Red 5 network account, which is good.
Definitely.
But you couldn't ask for better content from these podcasts.
That's what makes it fun. So Brad, the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, we, like I said, we just released our Rule of 2 episode just the other day, and I just recorded the legacy of collecting with Josh and Andy, and we'll be putting that one together. I'm hoping to release that next Thursday. We usually release episodes on Thursday, so it gives me a little time to kind of spruce it up and add the bells and whistles to it. But it was a lot of fun. That one is going to be great because everybody collects something, and we really take another deep dive of that topic.
Yeah,
close to my heart. And I'm looking forward to talking and getting back with Andrew and Marisha from Coruscant Radio Underground. We'll be definitely getting into some character moments. It's telling everybody that sometimes you can't talk about Star Wars news that gets released. Everybody and their grandmother seems to do that, so we like to really dive deep into the examination of certain characters and motivations and really taking a deep dive. I think I like to take Star Wars seriously. I know it's just a film, and we talked about how it's all fake, but in my heart of hearts, I love Star Wars because to me it's just out there, and I want to go there.
Yeah, I forgot who posted it, but someone said on Twitter, if 10 years ago you wouldn't believe everybody's talking about Ahsoka and Maul, and being some of the biggest characters in Star Wars. But here we are 10 years later, and they are what's up with the Star Wars universe, and you wouldn't think you'd be doing a deep dive on Maul at all. There's
sure,
yeah, he was a good lightsaber fighter, but that was it. But now they gave him such a deep character development, and so giving us more material to talk about.
Definitely. All right. Well, I think we've said our piece, and we've enjoyed our time here with our friends. It's not going to end here tonight. Obviously, we got a lot of things planned and a lot of collaborations, a lot of things to still do. So, Brad, it was again, it was a pleasure for you to see me.
Oh, as always, yes. I'd love to say it's mutual, but don't forget we got Claudia Gray coming up, and we got Kevin Scott coming up. So stay tuned.
Excellent.
It's always sunny on Scarif.
And that's the Scuttlebutt.